You've been told something your entire life about how attraction works. Maybe your father said it. Maybe you heard it from a friend who swore by it. Maybe you absorbed it so gradually over so many years that you never once stopped to question it. If you want a woman, pursue her. Show up. Be consistent. Let her see that you care. And you believed it because it made sense, because it felt honorable, because everything around you, the men who came before you, the movies, the old advice, confirmed it at every turn. But here is what I need to tell you clearly today. That belief is only half the story, and the half you were never taught, it is quietly costing you with the women you actually want. Because what a woman truly feels when you stop chasing her, the full, honest truth of it, is nothing like what anyone told you. And by the end of this video, you will understand something most men never figure out. Not at 30, not at 50, not ever. Here is the scene. You meet a woman. Something real is there. Genuine warmth, real conversation, a spark that feels different from the usual. And so you do exactly what you were taught to do. You pursue. You reach out first, every time. You suggest plans. You make yourself available, quickly, enthusiastically, without hesitation. You think, if I show her I'm serious, she'll feel chosen, she'll feel secure. But something begins to shift. Her replies get shorter. She takes a little longer to respond. The warmth is still there, but cooler now, just slightly, and you feel it even when you cannot name it. So you try harder. You send the message that shows you've been thinking about her. You suggest the weekend away. You lean in further. And quietly, almost without either of you fully noticing, she leans away. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone, not even close. I call this the pursuit trap. And before we go any further, I want to say something directly. This is not your fault. You did exactly what the script told you to do. You were consistent, you were present, you showed genuine interest. Everything you were taught, you followed it faithfully. 9 out of 10 men behave exactly this way in the early stages of dating. Especially men raised to believe that showing devotion is a virtue, that effort equals commitment. The problem isn't your intention. The problem is a deep, invisible mismatch between what you were taught desire looks like from the outside and what desire actually feels like from the inside. So where did this mismatch come from? And why does stepping back change everything? Let's go back. Not 50 years, thousands. For most of human history, male persistence in courtship was genuinely adaptive. It served a real, important function. Resources were scarce. Relationships were built around survival, stability, protection, reliability. A man who kept showing up through difficulty, who remained devoted under uncertainty, sent a signal that carried enormous weight. He was saying, without words, I will still be here next winter. And women were shaped, biologically, culturally, over generations, to receive that signal. Persistence meant safety. Unwavering devotion said, this man will not disappear when things get hard. So men pursued. Generation after generation, the pattern deepened. Keep showing up. Keep proving your commitment. Never let her forget that you are there. And this worked. For a very, very long time, it worked. But here is where the story breaks, and it breaks in a way that matters enormously. We are no longer in that world. Modern dating does not run on survival logic. The entire relational calculus has changed. Women today are not primarily selecting for resources or physical protection, at least not in the same way. They are selecting for something far more nuanced: desire, emotional chemistry, the feeling of genuine aliveness in a connection. And desire? This is the part almost no one speaks about honestly. Desire does not grow in certainty. Desire grows in space. Think carefully about what that means. When you are always available, always reaching out, always there, you leave her nothing to reach toward. There is no tension, no uncertainty, no quiet moment where she finds herself thinking, "What is he doing right now? Is he thinking about me?" Without that wondering, attraction doesn't deepen. It goes flat. Not because she doesn't like you, because her mind has nothing to return to, nothing to feel the pull of. This is not a female peculiarity. This is fundamental human psychology, and the research confirms it. Arthur Aaron, a psychologist who has spent decades studying the neuroscience of romantic attraction, documented something that surprised even him. Uncertainty in early romantic contexts doesn't reduce interest, it amplifies it. When we don't know exactly how someone feels about us, our minds become activated. We think about that person more. We replay small interactions. We pay heightened attention to every signal they send. Certainty, total transparency, constant availability, no unknowns, removes that activation entirely. Think about your own experience for a moment. Has there ever been someone in your life, a friend, a colleague, someone you respected, who suddenly became a little less available? Nothing dramatic. They were just slightly less present than before, and you didn't know why. Did you forget about them? Or did you find yourself thinking about them more than usual? That small withdrawal created space, and your attention, without effort or decision, moved into that space on its own. A woman's psychology works exactly the same way. When a man steps back, not coldly, not as punishment, but simply because he has a full life and is no longer leaning in desperately, she feels the shift. First, she notices the silence where the messages used to be. And then comes a moment, private, brief, real, where she asks herself something she hasn't asked before. Wait, what do I actually feel about him? That question is everything. Until now, she didn't need to ask it. You were there, consistently, always reaching out. Her feelings were never an urgent matter because the answer to, "Will he stay?" was never in doubt. But now she isn't certain, and that uncertainty activates something genuine inside her. She starts to look back at what was between you, whether there was something she underestimated, whether she took for granted something that actually matters. For mature women, women who have lived enough to recognize what genuine self-respect looks like in a man who steps back with dignity does not signal indifference. He signals value. He signals, "I want this, but I do not need it to feel whole." That quiet steadiness, it is one of the most powerful things a man can communicate without a single word. Now, I want to be very clear about something before we continue. What I am describing is not a tactic. It is not, "Go quiet for 3 days and she'll come running." That approach is a cheap imitation of something real. And most women, especially women with enough experience to know the difference, feel the calculation in it immediately. What I am describing is something far more honest. It is called returning to yourself. Here is how it actually works. The next time you feel the pull to reach out, to fill the silence, to send that message you've already drafted twice, to check whether she's still thinking about you, pause. Ask yourself one question. Is this coming from genuine desire or from anxiety? If it's genuine, you feel grounded. You simply want to connect, reach out. That energy is warm and clear, and she can feel it. But if the impulse is coming from fear of the silence, need for reassurance, the quiet dread that she's drifting, do not send that message. Redirect that energy back to your own life instead. Call a friend you haven't spoken to in weeks. Go to the gym. Work on something that matters to you. Cook, walk, read. Anything that pulls your attention back to the fullness of your world. This is not a strategy to make her miss you. This is how you become a man who actually has something worth coming back to. Because here is what shifts when you do this genuinely, not as a performance, but as a real choice you make for yourself. Your energy changes completely. The man who texts constantly, who fills every silence, who is always reaching out to confirm she's still there, projects one thing: I need to know you haven't gone. The man who lives his life and shows up warm, unhurried, unbothered by silence, projects something entirely different. I chose to be here, but I'm fine either way. That second quality? Magnetic. Not because it plays games, because it is rare. Now, the critical mistake most men make when they try this. They step back in behavior, but they are still watching, still refreshing her social media, still emotionally on standby, waiting for any small signal. She can feel that energy. Women are far more attuned to it than most men realize, actually. Let me be more precise. Far more attuned to it than most men would believe possible. Real withdrawal means your attention genuinely goes elsewhere, to your own life, your own goals, your own growth. Not as a performance, as an actual choice you are making for yourself, regardless of what she decides. That is the difference between a strategy and a truth. And over time, the truth always wins. Let's come back to where we started. You meet a woman, something real is there. And this time, instead of leaning in harder with every text and every available hour of your day, you pursue with ease, with warmth, without desperation. You are present when you are together. You reach out when it genuinely feels right. But your world does not pause for her silence. Your life does not shrink to fit her uncertainty. And when she feels that quiet, steady fullness in you, something shifts inside her. Not because you ran a tactic, because you stopped collapsing toward her, and she noticed there was something solid standing there. The myth says, the more you pursue, the more she wants you. The truth says, the more whole you are in yourself, the more she wonders what it would feel like to be close to that world. That is not manipulation. That is not strategy. That is simply a man who knows his own worth. And that man, calm, self-possessed, unhurried, is exactly the man a woman turns around for. If this shifted something for you, stay with me. In the next video, I will show you the exact signal a woman sends when she has decided she wants you back. The quiet, easy-to-miss gesture most men walk right past without recognizing it. You will know exactly what to look for.